What the is the difference between these three shoes? You probably don't know the difference between New Balance's top three shoes that are built like absolute tanks. You'd be surprised because they all look really similar in bulk and build, but they feel completely different. And if you're over 30 like me, these shoes might save your feet to skate another day. So it's Reynolds versus Tiago to see who has the best shoe. What's the most durable? What's the stiffest? What's the most comfortable? And what's the best for just walking around? So if you don't know, Tiago Lemos, guy for these two shoes, he's a Brazilian skater. He absolutely rips. He's one of the best to ever do it. He can ollie higher than your favorite skater while switch. He's just a beast. He has amazing style. New Balance gave him the 1010 as his first pro shoe, and it blew us away. It was like built really well. I think it was our second New Balance we did. Me and Weston are like, it's more than a good skate shoe. It's a really well-built shoe. But then a couple years later, they gave him an 808, another pro shoe, which is pretty similar. They look pretty similar, but they're very different. I think he actually wears the 808 more than the 1010 in his last few video parts. I'm not 100% sure. You can go watch him and like scope his toes. But Andrew Reynolds is another legendary pro skater. I'd probably put him on my skating Mount Rushmore. He's been doing it for like 30 years or so now, just crushing it. He started Baker Skateboards, and he just recently switched over to New Balance from America and from Vans, and they made him the ultimate New Balance runner-inspired skate shoe. Super impressive, but it's also really expensive. So let's see what we have here for all these three shoes. So for the first one, we have the brand is New Balance Numeric. The style is the Tiago Lemos 1010. It weighs 15.6 ounces. It is $110, and it's made in Indonesia. The positioning from the New Balance website says the first pro indoor skate shoe by Tiago Lemos features a mix of 90s skateboarding inspiration and New Balance heritage style, which you can definitely see it's 90s all over. Tiago looks like he's straight out of the 90s, so I think that's sick. If we go to the next one, this is the New Balance Numeric. The style is the Andrew Reynolds 933, so stepping down a few numbers. It weighs 15.3 ounces. It's $130. It's made in Indonesia, and the positioning from the website, it says, inspired by the legendary skateboarder Andrew Reynolds, these skate shoes blend a premium cushioning with a heritage design for all-around comfort. And finally, for the last one, we have the New Balance Numeric. This is the Tiago Lemos 808 Lite. They've recently discontinued the 808 and switched to just the 808 Lite. They've made it a little bit slimmer, a little lighter, a little bit less stiff. The outsole's a little grippier than the 808. Actually, shout out to Leif, the New Balance designer. This is his brand. I bought one of his hats after I met him because like, this is sick. I think it's called Window Seat Studio Works. Super sick. One of my favorite hats I've ever worn, so go support him. These are the heaviest of the bunch. They weigh 1 pound, 1.3 ounces, and they retail for $100. And the positioning of the 808 Lite from the website says features an updated design to deliver the durability and impact protection you need with enhanced flexibility. So we got 100, 130, 110. So they're all pretty expensive. You can buy all these from the links in the description if you want to try them out. We'll put them all down there. So let's start on the durability. Who is the most durable? And we're going to go along. I'm going to give them points. Top spot, number 1 in each category gets 3 points. Number 2 gets 2 points. And number 3 gets 1 point. So if we go to the uppers, they all have mixtures of leather and textile. So we're just going to go over the basics. So on the 1010, our version is all suede. The toe is a tighter grain suede than the Vamp area. On the 933, it's all pig suede and mesh. Pig suede has a really high bar for being more abrasion resistant than cow. And on the 808 Lite, our version here has a suede toe, and then it's got the PU coated leather Vamp right here. And for one of the most important things of durability, we're going to look to see all 3 of these shoes actually have double layers. So these 2 layers go actually all the way down. It's very rare to see on skate shoes. It enhances the durability a ton because then you don't just get an extra fail point along one of these stitches. So all 3 of them are actually double layered, which is really good to see. And if we go to the total amount of thickness, so on the 1010, you're going to have 3.2 millimeters of total thickness between your foot and the outside. On the 933, you're going to have 3 millimeters of total thickness. And on the 808, you're going to have 3.1 millimeters of total thickness. So they're all absolute beasts. So for the most important part of a skate shoe is how long it's actually going to hold up while you're skating it. So we have some abrasion tests we run. What we do is I cut out a sample of Mob Grip, which is the grippiest grip, and it's on the bottom. We cut out a sample of the leather from the shoe, which is on the top. And then the machine puts it down and rubs it in circles and spins. It's like a teacup ride where, you know, it's moving and spinning at the same time. It's probably the best way to test actual durability of shoes out there, so you don't have to skate them for like 2 or 3 months before they fail. So on the abrasion tests, on the 1010, it comes in at 1,034 cycles, and we just did the back toe here because there wasn't enough material on the toe. On the 933, it comes in at 2,336 cycles, and on the 808 Lite, it comes in, we just tested this back piece here because there wasn't enough suede on the toe. That one comes in at 2,567. So times all of those tests by 2 about, and that's your final numbers. So they're all absolute beasts. They hold up super well, all of them for being the second line of defense. I skated the 1010s forever, and I never even went through the outer layer. Same thing with the 933s. If I were to rank the upper durability of them, I would say the 933 is first because the 2 layers of pig suede are beast. It's hard to beat. I'd say the 808 second because I was shocked at how well that PU leather did on the abrasion test, and that's the second layer. And 1010 is third, but it's also very, very good. So if we go to the outsole durability. All have rubber outsoles, but the traction is pretty different from the 1010 to the 933 to the 808. You can see the 1010 has multiple textures. You got like the bumps up here, the more herringbone style right there. It's pretty 3D. But the 933 is actually really interesting because it has an asymmetrical outsole, because the outsole is rubber right here and it wraps around and it goes to foam right here. So it really cuts down on the weight. It makes it surprisingly light, but it has all sorts of cutouts right here for some flexibility, and it's got notches in the outsole for like Andrew Reynolds achievements in skating. And then of course the 933 has the runner toe that Reynolds really wanted and absolutely loved. If we go to the 808, it has just a flat herringbone, more style outsole. It has a little, I almost call this the baby runner toe. You can kind of see it right there, the difference between these two. This is like the precursor to this one. This one walked, so 933 could run. But which one's gonna be the most durable? So the 1010 rubber comes in at about 65 shorey, the 933 comes in about 65 shorey, and the 808 light actually comes in around 50. The higher the number, the harder and more durable it's going to be, but it's gonna be less grippy right out of the box. And the lower the number, the softer and grippier it's gonna be, but it will be less durable over time. So as far as outsole durability goes, I would probably rank it 1010 number 1, 808 number 2, and 933 in the last. So the 933 I wore and the 1010 that I wore have a similar amount of wear, but I wore the 1010 for way longer than the 933. You go to the inside lining, the 1010 actually has this heel pod. It kind of cups your heel. It's just a little foam thing. Some people love it, some people hate it. It kind of locks your heel in. They do feel weird at first, but once you like get skating to them and break them in a little bit, you don't notice them. The 933 and the 808 light are pretty much the same, just your classic textile and foam. If we go to the insoles, the 1010 and the 808 both just have removable ortholite foam, open cell foam insoles. The 1010's a little more, has these wings up, and the 808 light is just flat. But the 933 has this crazy like denser latex foam style insole. And you can see the difference. It's like, this is thick, almost feels like rubber. It feels like latex, and this feels like foam. So that's everything we can see from the outside. Let's cut these things in half and see what else is going on, see which one reigns supreme and which one you should actually buy.
These are micro adjust belts, handmade right here in the shop by us. Premium leather, solid brass hardware, and the rounded buckle so it doesn't dig in your gut all day. But what is micro adjust? Well, the one problem everyone always has with their belts is one hole's too tight, one's too loose. These little adjustments right here allow you to adjust your belt by 1/2 inch increments so it fits you exactly how you want for the lifetime of the belt. So check them out below.
So let's get these things chopped. All right, so we got all 3 of them cut in half. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment. It's the best thing to help us out when we're cutting. Let's see, this is $340 worth of shoes in half for one video to show you which one's the best, which one you should buy, which one's a scam, etc., etc. And then check out our handmade leather goods that are just made right over my shoulder right there. So let's see what's inside the 1010 and the 933 and the one we've never seen before, the 808 light. Okay, so what's actually going on in these midsoles? Let's go through it. For the 1010, you can see it has a dual density midsole. This green is fuel cell foam. It's actually what New Balance uses in their like super high performance running shoes. It's a nitrogen infused foam. And then it just has an unnamed foam, so it is dual density. If you remember from the 1010 video, there's this weird chunk of plastic in here that I didn't feel it while I was skating, but I reached out to New Balance. I was like, what is this? And they're like, oh, that's actually a manufacturing flaw. So we helped New Balance find and fix this flaw. I emailed them on a Thursday and it was fixed by Monday. So like for a big company to be able to move that fast, pretty cool that they were super transparent about it as well. On the 933, it's a co-molded absorb midsole where it has this internal foam right here, and then running around the edge is a denser foam. So this internal red foam is actually heavier and denser than this gray rim, which is really dense, but it's also pretty lightweight. It's kind of a similar concept of this fuel cell, but it runs the full length and it's surrounded by a firmer foam. It's actually really cool because it starts out as a little tiny puck and then they put it into an autoclave and somehow those two foams get bigger and mold together. Insane. I don't know how it works. It's magic to me. But if we go to the 808 light, you can see this just has one long sheet of absorb foam, which I like. It's used in a few of their insoles like the 306. Super dense, super responsive. I'm a big fan, but it's way harder than both of these foams. Like you could feel it, like that is dense and stiff and thick. So if we run some tests to see what's the most responsive, on the ball drop test, the 1010 bounced up 16.7 inches, the 933 bounced up 17.15 inches, and the 808 light bounced up 15 inches. And we flip that around and run a heavier bar drop test on the heel. The 1010 drop bounces 4 inches, the 933 bounces 5.75 inches, and the 808 light only bounces up 3 inches. So if I had to rank these on the comfort ranking after all of that, I'd say the 933 comes in number 1. It has the most padding and comfort and really good response. response. I'd say the 1010 is a close second. It has the similar amount of response, similar ideas, just done a little differently. And the 808 is last because the foam is super stiff, but that's kind of what people like about this shoe. But if we're talking about the stiffness, that's the biggest elephant in the room. If we go to the 1010, you can see it's, not super stiff. It bends pretty easily. If we put it on our scale, it takes 17 pounds for it to fold in half. And then if we go to the 933, you can see, oh, it's way stiffer, much stiffer. Let's put it on scale, push down. It takes 22 to 23 pounds to fold. And the 808 is one of the stiffest shoes I have ever seen or put on at all. If we put that on the scale, it takes 25 pounds. I remember in the New Balance interview with Andrew Reynolds, he was saying the 1010 was even too stiff for him. So that's why they've toned it down a little bit in the 933. So that's kind of your stiffness rank. 1010 is the least stiff. 933 is the second stiffest. And the 808 is just, it's a diving board out there, which I kind of like because you see in all of the high performance running shoes, especially like those super foam shoes, they all put like a carbon fiber plate or some sort of plate in there to spring you forward. Let's use the diving board analogy again. If you're jumping on a diving board and it's super floppy and not stiff and you're not going to get any height, you're just going to fall off. But if it's a real diving board and it's stiff, you're going to be able to like get some real air, some real height. That's my theory on a stiff shoe compared to a not stiff shoe. Then if we go to the board feel, how much board feel do you actually have in these gigantic tanks of shoes? The 1010, that definitely has the most board feel and flex out of all of them. Even though it looks pretty chunky here with the lightweight foams and how they've done it, you get a lot of board feel, a lot more than I thought you would get. And then I would say the 933 probably has the second most board feel. It definitely, you're not going to feel your board at first for sure. But if you go to the 808, this is kind of what everyone has been saying too. The 808, you can't really feel your board at all because this is so stiff and so dense. You just kind of feel the edges of the shoe, which some people like, some people don't like. The 933 breaks in surprisingly a lot. Like you get a lot of board feel, even though it looks like there's more foam in the 933 than the 808 Lite, but the 808 definitely the tankiest, least board feel out of all of them. So for the non-skating use, if you're just buying these to skate in a couple times, or you mostly just kind of want like a chiller skate shoe that's not like super fancy, it's not like $185 New Balance. The 1010 is a pretty good walking shoe. It's definitely better to skate in. The 933, I would say doubles perfectly as both a skate shoe and a walking shoe, especially the more you break it in. I've been wearing my 933s a ton as I scoot around with one foot while my ankle's broken. Surprisingly comfortable just wearing around. But the 808, with all of its stiffness and everything, shockingly, I think I would wear this more as a walking shoe over the 1010. Something about its flatness, its stiffness, it works for me a lot as a walking shoe. I don't know why. So that might be just me, but if I had to rank them for walking, I would say 933 number 1, 808 number 2, and 1010 number 3. And that's a shock to me even. I thought the 1010 was going to be above them both, but really the 933 is surprisingly comfy. But with all of these nice things comes some inherent downfalls with these big chunky shoes. All three of these shoes will feel like absolute boats the first time you put them on, especially if you're used to thinner cupsoles or vulcanized shoes. The 1010 and the 933 take a while to break in. The 1010 has the least amount of break-in time. The 933, I was so sketched out because I got these shoes from New Balance. I was like super hyped. I was like, oh, Andrew Reynolds is gonna watch this video, like he watches our channel. I have to be really good. And I was like, the first day out, I could not skate them. I could barely ollie. I was like struggling to get any air. I could do like kick flips that are like all torque, no pop at all. But a couple sessions, these really grew on me. Like the more I skated them, the better and better and better they got, but they still stayed really stiff. But the 808 Lights, these things are gonna hold their shape way longer than both of these because this foam is so stiff. And that's a pro or a con. Like some people really want their shoes, like if you're used to skating a shoe, like say like a last resort, that just, it's meant to break in and be like an extension of your foot. It's gonna feel completely different than a shoe like this, which is going to stay really stiff the whole time. It's a pro for me. I really like that. But they all break in surprisingly well. It's because they're all built so well, they actually age instead of disintegrating as you wear them. So if we take all of the points from all of that, number 1, number 2, number 3, for the best shoe overall out of all three of these shoes, so in last place with 13 points, we have the 808 Lite. It is the cheapest, still a really good shoe. There's just more tech in these other shoes. Like this one's like the pared down version of both of these shoes and stiffer. So number 2, who's gonna take this congeniality, I guess is what that's called. Number 2 with 14 points is the 1010. Super good shoe, lots of cool tech, but overall the 933 is number 1 with 16 points. So what does all of that mean? And are they worth the actual amount of money that you're paying? So the 808, I feel like this is your more specialized, stiffer shoe. It's gonna be good for really big ollies. You're gonna get a lot of good snap. It's gonna hold its shape for a long time, but you sacrifice all of that for board feel and a softer shoe. The 933 is just an absolute beast across the board. You're gonna hate it if you don't like a lot of stuff beneath your feet. And this might be one of my favorite shoes of this entire year. Like, this is one of the few shoes that I kept skating in, and I felt like while wearing this shoe, I was way more confident in skating. I was like, oh, I can do all of this stuff that I can't do in other shoes in this shoe. And the more shoes I skated after it, the better this shoe looked to me, because I was like, oh, this shoe isn't as good as the 933. Well, that shoe wasn't as good as the 933. I kept coming back to it over and over again. And the 1010 is kind of a split in between both of these. It's definitely going to be more flexible than both of them, but it has all that really good tech there. It looks like a pretty bulky shoe, but it's pretty light and pretty slim feeling once it's on your foot. I really like the outsole with its built-in flex points. Are these worth the pretty expensive price tags that they are? So let's look at some similarly priced shoes. So this $100, this $110, this $130. But if you look at other shoes in the same range, we just did that $100 Adidas Superstar ADV, which had no foam midsole, just an egg crate, no double layers of leather, really terrible leather on that specific model too, just not quite as good. Like if I was comparing that to the 808, the 808 would win. But if we look at another $100 shoe, the Samba, the Adidas Samba ADV, which does have double layers of leather and rubber, but it still just has an egg crate midsole, this shoe is still built way more tech for the same price. Now, if we go up another notch to $115 Nike SB, the Air Max Ashad, it didn't really have double layers of leather anywhere. It had a pretty good midsole, some that like drop-in midsole that everybody was pissed off at me for saying it was a fake air unit, because it is a real air unit, it's just done differently. It's not on the same par as this 1010, like there's no double layers. This thing just would outperform that in every single way. And if we go to shoes that are similar amount of tech, like with the Jordan 4 SB, that thing comes in at $220 and is not built as well as these ones. And like the Air Max 95, which is $185, and it falls apart after 30 minutes. So yes, these are all absolutely worth the money. They just feel pretty different when they're on your foot. I'm curious what everyone else thinks. I think if you've skated one of these, you should try the other just to like broaden your horizon and see what's going on. I've had tons of people reach out and say the 933 is their favorite skate shoe they've ever had. And there was also a bunch of people that are like, when the 1010 video dropped, people were like, oh, I tried to go get a 1010, but they all got sold out after your video. So I don't know if that's true. That would be sick if it was. The 808 is definitely the one I hear the least about because it's a little more specialized, but I really like it. I really like a stiff shoe. I think if you aren't used to skating stiff shoes, you're gonna have a learning curve, but you should absolutely try it out. So let me know which ones you think are best, which ones you've actually tried. We have some really cool stuff coming up. We have some Ninja 4s, some SXLs that everyone always comments about, and we have a whole bunch of iPaths coming in because they're making a comeback, and I'm hyped for that. But that's pretty much it. So if I missed anything or you want me to cover more stuff or go over even more shoes, comment, like, subscribe. It helps out. Watch the skate shoes, because if you don't watch them, I'm gonna stop making them because it's not worth our time. That's a threat. I don't know how to end. That's it. Shout out to go support Window Seat Studios.